Planning a Walt Disney World trip within a reasonable budget is absolutely possible. You just need to know your different options. In this video, I am going to put all of those tips and tricks into one video. There are ultimately 10 things that you need to budget for a Walt Disney trip. So let's get those notebooks out, start taking some notes, and saving you some money. Let's go. One of my main goals is to help you have fun whenever you plan your trips, because planning is just as fun as going. I have two phases whenever I start planning for my trips, and phase one is starting in a notebook and making it cute. In here, I just start kind of like doing the bigger picture, where I really want to stay, how many nights I want, the different times that I possibly want to go, and like all the dining locations and just, all the things that you start hearing over the internet. I just kind of start putting everything in a notebook and then really start fine-tuning that. So first, let's start talking about the biggest chunk of your budget, and that is going to be your resort and your tickets. Whenever it comes to this, there are two types of planners usually. So the first planner is the type that likes to have like everything laid out. They know their dining, they know their tickets, they know their resort, they can pay on that over time, and it's all set in stone. The second type of planner is the one that likes to take it apart and absolutely get the most out of their money by jumping through hoops and going through all of those tips and tricks. So I'm going to give you perspective on both planning ways so that you can save the most money. If your ultimate goal is to stay on property, then you need to start looking at the different categories and know the price point for the budget that you want to stay within. So on Disney property, there are 4 different categories. You have your campsites and campgrounds, your value resorts, your moderate resorts, your deluxe, and your deluxe villa resorts. When it comes to your tickets, you need to start looking roughly, like vaguely, at what each of the 4 parks have to offer. That way you are visiting the right park that is going to excite you and your family. And there are 4 major parks to Walt Disney World. There's Magic Kingdom, Hollywood Studios, Epcot, and Animal Kingdom. One of the first ways to try and get your trip as close to your budget as possible is by knowing when the least expensive time to go is. And this will work for both the planner that likes everything convenience and for the planner that likes to pick apart every little thing. I'm going to leave linked in the description box below the exact steps that you need to take, and look at the Disney calendar to know when it is the least expensive time to book for rooms and tickets. That video is also going to explain whether crowds and other factors that might be important to you as you are planning your trip. And if you don't have as much flexibility as far as like when your dates are, if you possibly have like maybe 1 or 2 date options, that will also help you know which one's going to be the least expensive. And then you can start looking in, crowds and weather and other things that are important to you, so you know when to book for the least expensive time for you to go. For the convenience planner, where you have everything together, you want a package reservation. So a package reservation is where you can book your tickets and your room reservation together with one payment. Also, a package reservation, you are able to add the dining plan to that as well. Again, everything is under one payment. You can pay on that as much as you want and as many times as you want leading up to your trip until 30 days before you arrive. That is when your final balance is due. In order to hold that reservation, all you need is a $200 deposit. Once you have that deposit, doesn't matter how far out you have booked in advance, the second way for you to be able to save money on your package reservation is by applying promotions and discounts that Disney will release. Disney usually releases discounts about 3 to 5 months prior to whatever season they're in at the time. And if you want to take advantage of those promotions and discounts, it is up to you to keep track of what promotions are released. And then it's also up to you to call in and have those promotions applied to your reservation. And discounts can range from room-only reservations to having free hopper tickets, having free dining, if you're a Disney Plus subscriber, if you're a Disney Visa card holder, all of those kind of things. There are so many different variables and so many different discounts that could possibly compound onto savings. So it's just up to you to just kind of keep track and, roughly about that 3 to 5 months before your trip, making sure that you're looking on Disney's website, following all of the people that release all of that information for you so you can get that discount applied to your reservation as soon as it comes out. And then the third way for the convenience planner to be able to add some savings to that is by paying for your trip in discounted Disney gift cards. Again, I have a full YouTube video on that, and I will leave that linked in the description box below, and that will give you all of the details you need to know, the pros and the cons. But that is just another way to compound savings for getting the most for your money and keeping in budget. And for the planner that wants to save the absolute most and does not mind jumping through a few hoops to save that money, booking everything separately is the way to go for you. However, there are a lot of small details that you need to take into account as you are planning all the little small details out. When it comes to booking your room only, you can look on Disney's website and see if there are any room only promotions running for rooms. You can also look into Undercover Tourist. Not only do they have discounts on park tickets, but they also have discounts on rooms as well. When booking a room-only reservation, especially when you are booking straight through Disney, there are two things that you need to be taking into account. So you can either call Disney and do a ticketless package. What that does is it lets you just put down a $200 deposit and to be able to pay on your room over time, and then your full balance will be due 30 days prior to your arrival. The second way is to just do a room-only reservation where the deposit is one night's full stay. However, you have all the way up until you actually arrive to pay off the reservation. So those are your two payment options with the two different kinds of room-only reservations for booking through Disney. Again, using Disney discounted gift cards to pay for that will also compound your savings that way. Also be thinking that if you are going to do a room-only reservation, you are not able to add the Disney dining plan. You are only able to add that to a package reservation. But if you are looking at staying at a deluxe or deluxe villa resort, another option for you is looking at renting DVC points. I like to use DVC Rental Store. That is the company that I work with. And if you decide to book through a DVC rental, you can add the Disney dining plan to that room reservation. And one of the main reasons that I do love to use DVC Rental Store is because of their payment plan option. And I will leave them linked in the description box below for you to do a little bit of research. When it comes to getting your park tickets, you want to look at Disney's website first to see if there are any just ticket promotions running. Sometimes Disney will do that. With those promotions though, there are a lot of little details that you need to be looking into before you buy those tickets. Also, whenever you buy tickets, you are going to have to pay that lump sum all at once whenever it is time to buy those tickets. So the biggest difference between the convenience and the person that wants to save the absolute most is how you are going to pay for things. So whenever it comes to your tickets, you are going to have to pay for those in a lump sum whenever you are ready to buy. And if you do decide to get one of the promotion tickets that is on Disney's website, again, discounted Disney gift cards is the way to go to save just a little bit more money. Another one to price compare is to look at third-party discounted park ticket sites. The company that I love to work with is undercovertourist.com. They have great customer service, great savings, easy to use. You can link them to your Magic Band, link them to your My Disney Experience account, easy peasy, and you're ready to go. I will leave them linked in the description box below for you as well. All right, resorts, tickets, checked off your list, done. Next, let's look at travel. So if you are flying in, there are four main options that you need to be looking at and budgeting. So the first up is going to be a shuttle bus, and that is either Sunshine Flower or Mears Connect. So with this, a few of the pros are going to be if you have a child that's in a car seat, you don't need to have a car seat to be able to get on the bus and travel to the airport. A few of the cons though is that it can take a good hour, hour and a half before you're even going to get to your resort because of loading the bus, waiting for the bus to fill up. After the bus takes off, then the bus will possibly make multiple stops at different resorts before you actually get to your resort. So just take into account a few of those details. Second up is going to be Lyft or Uber. Lyft or Uber is for those convenience travelers, absolutely. However, with that, there is also surge pricing. So depending on when you land, you just never know how much the car cost is going to be, not to mention if you need a larger car because you have a larger family, and or if you need car seats, the price goes up and compounds once you start adding in those variables. However, it is get your bags, turn around, go out the doors, and you can get in and be on your way. I do have a full rideshare video that I will leave linked in the description box below for you, and it's going to answer all of your questions that you have about using Lyft or Uber on site, also getting yourself to and from the airport. So the third way is looking into using a shuttle service, like a private shuttle service. There are two different ones, Transportation by Mike and MCO to Disney, that I do like to use, and they are very professional. Not to mention a lot of their round trip fees are a lot less expensive than if you were doing rideshare. It also includes in there up to 2 car seats, rear facing, forward facing, if you want to make an extra stop, if you want to pick up groceries. So those are a lot of little details that is included in those private transportation options as well. And if you get into like the ride share, you have to add in extra stops, which adds in more extra cost. So kind of do a price comparison there. And then the fourth way, of course, is renting a car. With renting a car, there's a lot of things that go into that, a lot of little fees that start happening. Like once you get there, putting gas in the car, not to mention the worry about driving around, tolls that you have to worry about. So a lot of little things start compounding whenever you start renting a car. And if you're just going to be on Disney property and then you're going to use Disney transportation, renting a car is probably the route that you do not want to go. If you are driving yourself into Orlando, number one, you need to have a few coins on you for tolls. There are, depending on which way you come in, especially if you're coming in on I-4, you are going to need to pay for tolls as you are coming in. If you are staying at a Disney resort, there aren't going to be any parking fees or anything like that. But if you are not staying at a Disney resort, make sure that you are looking into if there are any parking fees at your offsite resort. And then also you need to budget into how much it's going for you to park at each of the parks whenever you are driving in. And for a standard car right now, parking is $35 per day. Out of the 10 things that you need to budget for a Disney World vacation, dining is the next one. And dining is a must, but you absolutely do have control. Now, remember whenever I said that I have 2 phases of planning? One is going to be like going into a notebook and start fine tuning and just getting all of my ideas on paper. Well, the second phase is where I really start filling out things in printables that I have. Now, if you work with me, I do give these to you, but I do also have them linked in the description box below if you want to check them out. But this is another way that I keep track of my dining. When it comes to quick service dining in the parks, for an adult, you want to budget about $20 to $25 per person, per meal, per day. When you start looking into like sit down meals and character dining, that is whenever just the meal itself is going to range for an adult between $35 and $62. You start adding in dessert, appetizers, drinks, and that kind of thing. It really just starts compounding. You can go into your app, you can go on the Disney's website and start looking at the menus and kind of getting an idea of cost. And that is where the printables come in, where you can start keeping track of your budget and what you think things are going to cost depending on where you're going to eat at. One way to really save on your food is by bringing your own snacks, or like ordering from like Instacart or Amazon Fresh or something like that. So yes, you can bring your own food in the parks. You can also bring coolers in the parks as well to keep things cold. But I'm going to leave the dimensions right here on the screen for the cooler size that you're allowed to bring into the parks. Also remember with that, there is no loose or dry ice allowed in those coolers as well. And then I do want to add on one more thing if you are thinking about like ordering food in or bringing your own food. Normal Walt Disney World Resort hotel rooms only have a beverage fridge, not a mini fridge, meaning that it is not going to get as cold. So if you are thinking about doing, like yogurt or things that really need to stay cold, you may need to look at rooms that actually have on the Disney website, like it says it has a mini fridge. So those are going to be like family suites. So like at Disney's All-Star Music Resort, they have family suites there. Disney's Art of Animation, whenever you get into like the Deluxe or Deluxe Villa Resorts, they have like studios and things like that. So the higher end rooms will have them, and then family suites will also have like microwaves and mini fridges in them as well. So kind of do your research on the room types if you really want to bring your own food and save your money and keep your dining budget under control. Whenever you start putting a package together or like a room only reservation, then you'll be asked if you want the memory maker. The memory maker is a service where you have one lump fee to be able to have access to all of your photos on vacation. So if you take photos like in front of the castle by a PhotoFast photographer, if you take pictures with characters, if you have on-ride photos, things like that, you pay one fee and you can pay $185. You can either add that to a reservation, to a package reservation, and pay on that over time. And you have to purchase that before you arrive, or you can purchase it when you arrive and it's going to be $210. If you are going for a short visit, there are also day passes as well. Now the question is, do you need it? Number one, cast members will take pictures with your phone. So if you don't think that your family is going to stop at all these different places and take all these different pictures, then the memory maker may not be for you. But if you are thinking that you just want one family picture, like one in front of the castle or whatever park that you're going to, and that's where you want that picture taken in front of, then you can ask a cast member. And many times I've been asked as a guest, will you take my family picture? There are so many people that will absolutely do that with your phone, take your picture, and you don't have to spend that extra money. So just know that you have that option, even if you are taking pictures with characters. Again, the character handlers will also take your phone and take those pictures for you. If you plan on using the Lightning Lane Multi-Pass, whenever you purchase that, the on-ride photos that you get from that day that you use the Multi-Pass are included in that price. So that is just another way, especially if you want like those on-ride photos, then you can not have to buy the memory maker, ask cast members to take the pictures for you where you take pictures, and then if you have the Lightning Lane Multi-Pass, you have access to the ride photos. And then if you just want to buy like one or two ride photos, you have that option as well. And those usually cost about $18 to $25 depending on the size, like per picture. So you have different options besides just paying out a big lump sum for the memory maker, especially if you don't think your family is going to stop and take pictures all the time. One of the next things that you're going to be asked to add to your reservation is a Magic Band Plus. These babies can cost all the way from $35 all the way up to $65 per pop, per person. Now, if you have an on-site reservation, you can get these at a slightly discounted rate, but the big question is, do you have to have one? And the answer is no. No, you don't. They are there just for funsies, if you will, and convenience as well. There are a lot of things that a Magic Band Plus can do, and I'm going to leave that video linked in the description box below so you can kind of research out that and see if that is something that you want to spend money on and if you're actually going to take advantage of what it can do for you. But if you just have a short trip, or if you don't see yourself coming back within 2 or more years, then the price of a Magic Band may not be worth it for you. So you do have 2 free options. So the first option is going to be a Keys to the World card. And this is going to be a small little credit card looking thing. So if you are staying on site, once you check in and you want a Keys to the World card, all you have to do is go to the front desk, let them know that you want a Keys to the World card for everybody in your party, and you'll be able to get it that way. If you purchase your tickets through Disney, then you will have a Keys to the World card sent to you. If you purchase from a third party, normally what you get is a voucher, and you'll take that voucher to the front of the park to a ticket booth, and there is where you will get your Keys to the World card and be able to use that to get into the parks. And if you're getting the Lightning Lane Multi-Pass, use it on scanning into those rides with that. The second way is going to be Magic Mobile. You can load your tickets into your phone if you have an iPhone or an Android, and then be able to use your phone to scan into the park and then also scan into those Lightning Lane rides as well. Again, I will have that video linked in the description box below of all your different options and just a lot more detail and in depth for you to decide whether or not you really need or want to spend the money on a Magic Band Plus. As you start putting your must-do list together about what you want to see and do in the parks, then you're going to start looking at if you need to add on the Lightning Lane Multi-Pass or the Lightning Lane Single Pass. These 2 services are the paid skip the line service. Do you absolutely have to have this? And no, you do not. In fact, I went just this past Christmas time during Christmas week and did not use back then, what was called the Disney Genie Plus. I had strategies in place where I knew the perfect times of the day to be able to go ride certain rides with lower weights. So whenever you are looking at if you want to budget for this or use it or not, those are the things that you need to be looking at. So you have options of rope dropping. So if you're staying on site, you are able to get into the parks 30 minutes before everybody else that has park tickets, where you can knock out a few of those really popular rides. And then after that, throughout the day, you just need to kind of strategize, depend on how long you'll wait in a line and that kind of thing. So it just takes strategizing and planning for you to be able to not have to use the service. Now, does the service help? Yes, it absolutely does. And if you do decide to use it, then you do need to make sure that you are reading up on it and making sure that you are making the most out of the service, because it can help, but it is not an absolute necessity that you need on your trip. And you really want to make sure that you are pushing that subscribe button and that notification bell, because on my trips, I go through different times in the parks, different strategies that you need to know so that you can maximize your times in the parks with the Lightning Lane Multipass and Single Pass and without, and also as an on-site guest and an off-site guest. When it comes to spending money in souvenirs, when I was a young mom, this was probably one of the hardest things for me to budget for, because I just didn't know what was there. I didn't have YouTube back then. We didn't have Instagram back then. We didn't have everybody showing us everything, but now we do. So one of the biggest tips that I can give you is, as you are watching your favorite vloggers in the parks, as they are showing you the different merch that is coming out, pay attention to what the merch is, if you would be interested in it, if your child or any family member would be interested in it, and the cost. That is going to give you a good idea and kind of set your budget for each day. You can also set a budget for each person each day with discounted Disney gift cards. That's just another way, and just let them know this is your Disney credit card. Once the money is gone, it's gone. Also, as a young mom, something else I would do to keep spending low was I would pre-buy things and bring them with me. And what I would do is, they were called Tinkerbell gifts. So when they would go to sleep, they would wake up and Tinkerbell would leave them a gift for that day. And I would do, I'm a thrifter, so I would look at garage sales or estate sales or things like that. So if we were going to a certain park and they liked a certain character, I would kind of theme the gift to that, and that also helped control spending, because it felt like that they were getting something, but I pre-bought it and brought it with me before I got there. So that kept my cost low as well. And I do have a playlist of ideas for you to do, and I will leave that linked in the description box below, just to kind of get your creative juices going. And it also gives you the chance of putting a personal touch on different things, so it'll be more memorable to them as just buying something there because they saw it, and then whenever they get home, it just gets tossed to the side into a garage sale pile, because there's really no real meaning to it. So sometimes Tinkerbell gifts can be just a little bit more personable and a little bit more memorable and worth the cost, of spending that money and bringing it with you. If you are looking for a few things to add in as a Tinkerbell gift, check out my Disney Poshmark closet, and I have that linked in the description box below. And it has so many different things that you can add in there, from crowns to costumes to plush, just so many different things that you can add to make a gift a little bit more personable. As you get further into your Disney planning, then you're going to start to realize that there are things called enchanting extras. And these are things like building a lightsaber, building a droid, getting done over into a prince or a princess into the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique. And a lot of these things can cost a lot of money. So especially building a lightsaber. So that is a full-on, full immersion kind of experience, where those lightsabers can cost $250 plus. But there are other options in the park, especially in Hollywood Studios. So there are the plastic ones that retract, that you can build for $40. So just know that you do have options in the park, especially if you have a little one, a 6 or 7 or 8-year-old, that you don't necessarily want to have a full-blown real lightsaber carrying it around the park. You do have other options. Also with the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique, they have different packages and the packages can get quite expensive. But if you will also look at, they have like fairy godmothers that will come to your room and they will do makeovers there for you. I will leave linked in the description box below different companies for you to look into, and a lot of these are like cast members that kind of started their side gig and is now their full-time gig and bring just as much magic as if you were like doing this in the park. Again, I will leave all of those linked in the description box down below for you. And then the last thing that you will probably notice on the dates of your trip, that there might be something called a special ticketed event. So at the beginning of the year, there are like different parks will have after hours parties, which is a separate ticket event. The park will stay open like 2 or 3 hours, like later into the night. You can get like free popcorn, free ice cream bars, free Coke, that kind of thing, and then just ride until your heart's content. And then whenever we start getting into the holidays, there's going to be something called Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party and Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party. These again are extra ticketed events that cost extra for you to attend. And they are just another extra touch and just an extra extension with rare characters, a different kind of fireworks show, different parades that you'll see. So a lot of extra things will go into those Mickey Very Merry Christmas Party and then Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. And I almost forgot the newest one, Jollywood Nights, which is in Hollywood Studios. So just kind of look into what is available at those things and if it is worth the extra cost for you. The biggest thing with these though is that they extend into the night. So a lot of these parties will end at like 12 a.m., 1 a.m., that kind of thing. So if you have little ones, you won't get the most out of these after hours events or these parties if they go to bed really early. So those are just things that you kind of need to be looking into if you are considering on doing an extra ticketed event. I hope that gave you some ideas for you to be able to save in some places where you can splurge in another, or just save the absolute most that you can so that you can make this the most magical trip ever. Now, this is only the first part of planning, is all of the budgeting as well. So there's a lot of things that you need to be researching and getting ready for your trip. So make sure that you check out my Know Before You Go playlist. That is going to have everything lined out that you need to know before you actually arrive. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. That lets me know that I'm giving you the information that you are looking for. Consider subscribing because I take you all around Walt Disney World, inside the parks, planning tips and tricks. I'm Terry with Creating the Magic. Have a magical day.